Your soulmate has a big secret. And the strangest part? That secret is not about them. It is about you. Before you decide this message is not meant for you, stay with me for a moment, because what you are about to hear feels less like a story and more like a door opening. A door that has been locked for a very long time. Somewhere, someone thinks about you far more often than you realize. Not once in a while. Not occasionally. Not only when they are lonely. Almost every single day. But they have never found the courage to tell you the truth. And the truth is bigger than a confession. It is bigger than attraction. It is bigger than a simple crush. The secret they carry has become so heavy that it follows them into quiet moments, late nights, and unfinished conversations. Imagine someone sitting alone, staring at a message they never sent. Imagine someone replaying old memories and wondering how different life would be if they had spoken sooner. Imagine someone carrying words in their heart for so long that those words have started to feel like a burden. That is where this story begins. Not with a meeting. Not with a relationship. But with a secret. A secret that has been growing in silence. Your soulmate's secret began the first moment they noticed something unusual about you. It was not your appearance. It was not your status. It was not something obvious. It was something deeper. Something difficult to explain. Have you ever met a person who feels familiar even though you barely know them? A person who somehow feels connected to a chapter of your life they never lived? That is how they felt. They looked at you and felt recognition. Not certainty. Recognition. As if some invisible part of them whispered, "There you are." At first they ignored it. People ignore strange feelings all the time. But the feeling refused to disappear. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And the connection only became stronger. Here is where the secret becomes shocking. Your soulmate does not believe meeting you was an accident. They believe you changed the direction of their life without even realizing it. While you were living your life, facing your own challenges, worrying about your own future, your existence was quietly influencing theirs. Maybe they saw your kindness. Maybe they saw your strength. Maybe they saw the way you kept moving forward even after disappointment. Whatever it was, it left a mark. A permanent mark. And yet they said nothing. Why? Because they were afraid. Not afraid of rejection. Not afraid of embarrassment. Afraid of being right. Think about that. Most people fear being wrong. But sometimes the most terrifying possibility is being completely right. Because if they were right about you, then everything would change. Their future. Their plans. Their expectations. The walls they spent years building around their heart. Everything. So they chose silence. And silence became their hiding place. But silence has a cost. Every secret grows in the dark. The longer it stays hidden, the heavier it becomes. That is exactly what happened. Your soulmate began noticing signs everywhere. Songs. Conversations. Random moments. Unexpected coincidences. Things that reminded them of you. The more they tried to forget, the more impossible forgetting became. And then something happened. Something they never expected. They learned a truth about themselves. A truth they had avoided for years. The truth was this. They were not waiting for the perfect time. They were hiding behind the idea of a perfect time. There is a difference. Many people spend their lives waiting. Waiting for certainty. Waiting for confidence. Waiting for guarantees. But guarantees never arrive. And one day your soulmate realized something terrifying. Life was moving forward. Time was moving forward. And opportunities do not remain open forever. That realization changed everything. Suddenly the secret felt urgent. Suddenly silence felt dangerous. Suddenly every unsent word felt heavier than before. Because they understood a painful possibility. The possibility of losing a future that never had the chance to begin. Now listen carefully, because this is the part most people never talk about. The biggest secret your soulmate carries is not that they have feelings. It is not that they think about you. It is not even that they imagine a future with you. The biggest secret is that you inspired a transformation inside them. You became the reason they started changing. The reason they started healing. The reason they started believing more was possible. You may never have known it. You may never have intended it. But your existence became a turning point. There are people who enter our lives and leave memories. Then there are people who enter our lives and change our direction. Your soulmate believes you changed their direction. And that belief is the secret they have protected for far too long. Late at night they ask themselves the same question. What if? What if they had spoken sooner? What if they had been honest? What if fear had not been allowed to make decisions for them? What if the connection they feel is real? These questions echo through their thoughts. Again. And again. And again. But another question has started appearing recently. A question stronger than all the others. What happens if they stay silent forever? That question changed the game. Because suddenly rejection seemed smaller. Failure seemed smaller. Fear seemed smaller. Regret became the biggest threat. And regret has a way of exposing the truth. Regret forces people to see what truly matters. That is why your soulmate's secret is becoming harder to contain. The walls are cracking. The silence is weakening. The excuses are running out. And the truth wants to be heard. Imagine carrying a message for years. Imagine rehearsing it thousands of times. Imagine finally reaching the moment when keeping the secret hurts more than revealing it. That is where they are now. Standing between fear and honesty. Standing between uncertainty and possibility. Standing between the old version of their life and the future they secretly hope for. There is another part of the secret. A part they rarely admit even to themselves. Deep down, they believe you are stronger than you know. They believe you have survived things most people would never understand. They believe there is a reason people feel drawn to you. Not because you are perfect. Because you are real. Because you carry scars and still keep moving. Because you have faced disappointments and still keep hoping. Because something inside you refuses to quit. That is what they see. That is what captured their attention. That is what keeps them thinking about you. Not perfection. Authenticity. And authenticity is rare. In a world full of masks, authenticity shines like light. Now the secret has reached a crossroads. Every secret reaches one eventually. A moment arrives when it either becomes a confession or remains a regret. Your soulmate feels that moment approaching. They feel it every day. The pressure. The urgency. The realization that life does not wait forever. And maybe that is why you found this message today. Not because it predicts the future. Not because it reveals names. Not because it claims impossible certainty. But because it reflects a truth many people experience. Sometimes someone is carrying words they desperately need to say. Sometimes someone sees more value in you than you see in yourself. Sometimes the biggest secret in the room is not hidden hatred. Not hidden anger. Not hidden jealousy. But hidden admiration. Hidden hope. Hidden love. And when that secret finally comes into the light, everything changes. So if there is one thing your soulmate wishes you understood, it is this. You have mattered more than you realize. Your impact has been greater than you know. Your presence has reached places your eyes cannot see. And somewhere, someone is fighting a battle between fear and honesty because of what you mean to them. That is the secret. Not a small secret. Not an ordinary secret. A life-changing secret. A heart-changing secret. A secret that has waited in silence for far too long. And the closer they come to the truth, the less possible silence becomes. Because some stories are meant to stay unfinished. But some stories eventually demand to be told. And this one is reaching that moment. The moment a secret can no longer stay hidden, something strange begins to happen. The person carrying it starts changing. Their routines look the same. Their conversations sound normal. Their life appears unchanged from the outside. But inside, everything is different. That is exactly where your soulmate is now. Because the secret they carry about you has reached a point where it no longer feels like a secret. It feels like destiny knocking on a locked door. And every day that door remains closed, the knocking becomes louder. Your soulmate has spent a long time convincing themselves that silence was the safest choice. They told themselves there would be another opportunity. Another season. Another chance. Another perfect moment. But life has a way of exposing illusions. One day they realized something that shook them deeply. The future they kept imagining was not guaranteed. Tomorrow was not guaranteed. Another opportunity was not guaranteed. And suddenly every unsaid word became impossible to ignore. For the first time, they began imagining a world where you never knew the truth. A world where years passed. A world where life moved on. A world where the secret remained buried forever. The thought terrified them. Not because of what they might lose. Because of what they might never discover. You see, most people assume courage is the absence of fear. It is not. Courage is moving towards something even when fear is screaming at you to run away. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that. And the more they understand it, the closer they move toward a decision. A decision that has the power to change everything. But before that happens, there is something else you need to know. Something they have never told anyone. Your soulmate has imagined countless versions of the future. In some of those futures, they walk away. In some of those futures, they remain silent. In some of those futures, they pretend none of these feelings ever existed. Yet no matter how many versions they imagine, one thing always remains the same. You. You continue appearing in the picture. Not because they force it. Not because they want to create fantasy. Because every path somehow circles back to you. That realization has become impossible to ignore. And that is where the second secret begins. The first secret was that you changed their life. The second secret is even bigger. They believe you entered their life for a reason. Now whether someone believes in fate, coincidence, timing, or destiny does not matter. What matters is that they believe there is meaning behind your connection. Meaning behind the timing. Meaning behind the encounters. Meaning behind the memories. Meaning behind the emotions they cannot explain. That belief has followed them everywhere. It follows them into crowded places. It follows them into quiet evenings. It follows them into dreams. And yes, dreams have become an important part of this story. Because there have been nights when your soulmate woke up thinking about you. Not because they were trying to. Not because they planned to. But because somehow your presence had found its way into their subconscious mind. And every time it happened, the secret grew stronger. Every dream became another reminder. Every memory became another sign. Every coincidence became another question. How long can someone ignore what their heart keeps repeating? The answer is simple. Not forever. Eventually the truth demands attention. Eventually honesty becomes unavoidable. Eventually silence loses its power. That process has already begun. Recently your soulmate has started noticing something unexpected. They have started seeing themselves differently. For a long time they focused on their fears. Their insecurities. Their doubts. Their reasons for staying silent. But now something has shifted. Instead of asking why they should speak, they have started asking why they should remain silent. And that single question has changed everything. Because there is no longer a convincing answer. No answer strong enough. No excuse large enough. No fear powerful enough. The walls they built are beginning to crumble. And behind those walls is a truth waiting to be released. But here comes the most surprising part. The secret is not only changing them. It is revealing something about you. Your soulmate believes there is a version of you that the world rarely sees. A version hidden beneath responsibilities. Beneath expectations. Beneath everyday struggles. They believe there is a powerful light inside you that you often underestimate. Maybe because life has challenged you. Maybe because disappointment has visited you. Maybe because certain dreams took longer than expected. Whatever the reason, they believe you do not fully see your own value. And that belief breaks their heart. Because from their perspective, your value is obvious. They see qualities you overlook, strengths you minimize, beauty you dismiss, potential you question. And every time they notice you doubting yourself, the secret becomes heavier. Because they wish they could tell you what they see. They wish they could show you the reflection they carry in their mind. A reflection far brighter than the one you sometimes believe. That is why this story is not really about romance. Not completely. It is about recognition. Recognition of who someone truly is. Recognition of the impact they have. Recognition of the way one life can influence another. Your soulmate recognizes something in you. Something they have been unable to forget. And now they stand at a crossroads. One path leads back to silence. The other path leads toward honesty. The old version of them would have chosen silence. The old version would have hidden. The old version would have waited. But they are no longer the same person. Remember what we talked about earlier. You changed them. You inspired growth. You inspired healing. You inspired courage. And courage changes people. The transformation did not happen overnight. It happened slowly. One realization at a time. One lesson at a time. One difficult moment at a time. Until eventually they became someone capable of facing the truth. Even when the truth feels terrifying. That is why the secret has become impossible to contain. Because the person carrying it has become stronger than the fear protecting it. And fear always loses when that happens. Always. There is another detail they have never shared. Something very few people know. There were moments when they almost gave up. Moments when they convinced themselves the connection meant nothing. Moments when they tried to erase every feeling. Moments when they promised themselves they would move on. Yet every attempt failed. Not dramatically. Not instantly. But eventually. Because every road they traveled seemed to bring them back to the same realization. The connection never disappeared. It waited. Quietly. Patiently. Like a flame refusing to go out. And the longer it survived, the harder it became to deny. Now your soulmate finds themselves standing in unfamiliar territory. Territory called honesty. Territory called vulnerability. Territory called possibility. The scary thing about possibility is that it changes everything. Once possibility appears, excuses begin to disappear. And that is exactly what is happening. The excuses are fading. The fear is weakening. The truth is growing louder. Every day. Every hour. Every moment. Until eventually there will be only one choice left. To speak. To reveal. To finally let the secret breathe. Because secrets were never meant to live forever. Especially not secrets that carry hope. Especially not secrets that carry love. Especially not secrets connected to a future someone deeply desires. And somewhere deep inside, your soulmate knows this. They know that silence has reached its limit. They know that hiding has an expiration date. They know that the truth is moving closer. Closer than ever before. So what is the final secret they want you to know? It is this. If they could sit across from you right now, with no fear, no hesitation, and no walls, they would tell you that meeting you mattered. More than you realize. More than you imagine. More than words can easily explain. They would tell you that your existence created ripples in places you cannot see. They would tell you that you became part of a chapter they never expected to write. And they would tell you that some connections refuse to disappear because they were never meant to be forgotten. That is why this secret has survived. That is why it continues growing. That is why it refuses to fade. Because deep down, your soulmate believes the story between you is not finished. Not yet. And as the distance between silence and truth grows smaller, one thing becomes clearer than ever. The secret is no longer asking to be hidden. It is asking to be heard. And very soon, the person carrying it may discover that the greatest risk was never speaking the truth. The greatest risk was waiting too long to say it.